Assalamu alaikum everyone, welcome back to today's session of me reading to you from the book Hussein's Revolution. So in the last part I started reading to you from a sermon that Imam Hussain alayhi salam delivered to the enemy army, Yazid's army, who was led by Ziyad ibn Abi, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. By the way, Ziyad ibn Abi, which literally translates to Ziyad, the son of his father, is a reference to a bastard son whose father is unknown. It's his nickname. Historians dispute the identity of his father, with some identifying him as Ubayd al-Thaqafi and others identifying him as Abi Sufyan, which would make him a member of the Umayyad clan. Muawiyah had personally claimed Ziyad as his brother. Ziyad was appointed as governor of Kufa and Basra by Muawiyah and played a central role in the Umayyad state. So I was reading a sermon that he was delivering at just before the battle broke out, and I didn't quite finish it because I ran out of time, so I'm going to continue it here. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. May Allah's damnations be on those who breach their covenants and break their promises. And by Allah, all this is the truth about you. The impostor, a son of an impostor, has given us a choice between death and disgrace. Surely we will never bend to disgrace. Allah refuses that for us. So do his messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, noble ancestors, purified households, zealous souls, and proud spirits. None would prefer obedience to the wicked over a noble death. In other words, he's willing to sacrifice his own life to stay in integrity of truth and righteousness and justice than to submit to a tyrannical, oppressive, wicked ruler. I have fulfilled my duty and warned you. I will tread on with my family despite our few numbers, our many enemies, and the treachery of our allies. Imam Hussain alayhi salam then recited the following verses. If we are defeated, we are once the victors, and if we are beaten, we are not always the losers. We did not live in cowardice, rather we faced our death when fortune turned to others. If death were to turn away from some, it would surely go on to others. It has taken the most noble of my people, just as it has taken generations past. But if kings were to live eternally, so would we. And if the virtuous lived forever, we would as well. So let those who rejoice for our defeat wake up. The gloaters will face a fate like ours. Imam Hussain alayhi salam was speaking to them about the reality of their circumstances and the facade of their lives. He reminded them how they sought him out to aid them against their tormentors before they joined forces with these same tormentors against him. The Umayyad state was not just a state, rather it was forcing them to fall into sin in exchange for a lowly livelihood. Not only meager in amount, but lowly in that it serves to extend a life of humiliation in exchange for lowly work. He also reminded them of their repeated stances towards reform. They always appeared eager and ready for revolution. They always seemed eager to improve their poor lives. But when push came to shove, they quickly broke and became a tool in the hands of their tormentors. He did not simply speak of his enemies, he spoke of a common enemy that the nation faced. But they continued to prop up their sham lives. They fought the men that sought to liberate them. They knew that these men were their liberators, but they stood with their tormentors to stop the liberation. This sermon, in its revolutionary tone, scolding manner, and expository content, was perfectly suitable to the mental state of the Umayyad army. The soldiers in that camp knew exactly who their enemy was, and Imam Hussain wanted to expose to them the gravity of the sin they were embarking on. He wanted the entire Muslim nation to hear his cry. By these words, Imam Hussain alayhi salam turned every Muslim into a boiling volcano at the edge of eruption. The causes for revolution in public opinion were not a set of grievances listed in Imam Hussein's mind. The entire nation felt that it must somehow change its dismal state towards something better. Those who wrote to Imam Hussain petitioning him to travel to Iraq realized all of this. Those who faced death in his camp also realized it. The people who wrote to him from Iraq were not few in number. There are some historians who say it was more than 150 letters. Other historians say that over the span of many years, the letters that reached Imam Hussain alayhi salam were over 12,000. But we can develop an idea about the enormity of the number of letters that reached Imam Hussain from the following account, recorded by most historians. It is said that when Imam Hussain met the battalion of Hur ibn Yazid al-Riyahi, he told them, "If you were to be wary of Allah and return matters to their rightful place, He would be pleased with you. We are a progeny that is more qualified to leave and have authority than those impostors whom claim what they do not have right to. They have walked amongst you in sin and transgression. But if you dislike that for us and you deny our right, unlike what you mentioned in the letters and messages that you have sent to me, I will take my leave from you." People quickly denied sending any letters. At that moment, Imam Hussain called one of his companions and said, "Bring out the saddlebags of letters they have written to me." A man brought out 2 camel loads of letters and placed them in front of the enemy battalion. This gives us an idea of the sheer number of letters that were sent to Imam Hussain, calling him to revolt and promising him aid. And if we look deeper into the facts, we will see that each letter was not sent by an individual, but by a group of 2, 4, or even 10. This was not a one-man movement. Rather, it was a social movement comprising of the majority of Iraqi society at the time. This is an example of a letter that was sent to Imam Hussain. "Praise is to Allah for finishing your enemy and the enemy of your father before you. The unrelenting tyrant and wanton oppressor had leapt on this nation, seized its leadership, usurped its wealth, and plotted against it. All this was without that nation's consent. He then killed the virtuous amongst his people and kept the evil alive. He made the wealth that Allah has granted exclusive for the tyrants and brutes. Curses on him like the curse on Thamud. We see no leather for us other than you. Come to us so that Allah may unite us in the path of truth. Nu'man ibn Bashir currently sits as governor. We do not pray behind him on Fridays or holidays. If you send word that you are coming, we will expel him to the Levant, if Allah wills."